Hello, footies. Welcome back to your latest dose of FIFA Ultimate Team podcasting goodness. We are Foot in Review. My name is Dan Wimbush, otherwise known as Wimby. It is Tuesday, the 8th of August. It is the 8th of the 8th as we sit here and record this. I'm delighted to be joined once again by the Foot Teddy Bear, the man formerly known as the Coach Slayer. It is Chris. Chris, good evening to you.
How you doing, my friend? Long time no speak.
I know I am well, thank you, my friend. It is great to be back on the show with you and great to have everyone listening in. Those of you still cracking away in August, you have my absolute utmost respect. Now, just to quickly outline what this show is going to be, we're not really going to be focusing on content. I mean, we might reference bits and pieces as we go through the show, but this is a bit of a standalone show. Myself and Chris are just going to kind of talk about some of FIFA and especially what's kind of stopping us playing. Because full disclosure, I have not played an actual game of FIFA now for about 6 weeks. This is the longest since joining the Ultimate Team community that I have stopped playing the game. So we're going to get into why. Is this just an individual thing? Is this just something that happens to people naturally? Is there a wider drop off? And we've got a few stats and figures to bring into that kind of argument as well. So, Chris, first of all, let's lay our cards out on the table. I mean, what's your foot activity been like in the past few weeks? Are you engaging with this footies content?
I've just been grinding the menus, I'll be honest with you. I've picked up Diablo, which I've enjoyed. I don't have a clue how to play it. I just bash all the buttons, a bit like my FIFA play, and take it from there. But yeah, I think definitely feels like to me there's a drop-off, I'll be honest with you. Certainly with the summer, and we can't blame the lovely summer weather here in the UK because we haven't had it, have we? Our good friends over in Europe, they've had some extreme heat. And if those guys have been affected, we're sorry for that. But certainly UK, we've had our typical British damp summer.
Yeah, I look out my window now and it's actually raining. As we record this, it just sums it all up. But yeah, I mean, footy's a bit full swing. I mean, look, I've been dabbling in the menus. I think like you, Chris. I log in at 6 still. Or actually, I think the nice thing is I don't feel like I have to log in dead on 6 like I was before. I might log in at some point over that evening and think, let's see what the content is. Have a look. If I can do one of these gamble SBCs, I'll do them. I don't really know why. I'm just kind of hoping that I might get some wonder player that makes me think, you know what, I'll give him a try. But honestly, as far as do you get a better pack, like if you've been not logging onto your console, I haven't logged on to my console in weeks. I've probably still got loads of free packs and stuff, but just web app only. My luck has not improved. I've been getting absolute garbage. I haven't seen a footies player. So I spent all of my coins. I went on holiday with the lads out to Albufeira in Portugal, and I may have opened and spent all of my coins whilst enjoying a few bevies. So I've got no coins left. I'm just running through my fodder. I'm keeping a very basic team together just in case I want to play, but otherwise everything is going in. But I mean, what you say, like you're not playing the game, but just on the menus alone, does it make you want to play, or is the menu stuff putting you off?
The menu stuff's great at the moment. I mean, the player pick and the 980 player pick you're getting at the moment. I mean, every second one you're getting a special card. I mean, I definitely think the evil twin's away his holiday, and the good twin he's taking over. You know, I mean, I've packed the 84 times 30 packs for me seems great value. And there's a 400k pack at the moment that gets you 250 players. Now, I know it's a lot of coins, but let's be honest, we're 2 months away from the new game coming out. So if you've got loads of coins, this is maybe the ideal time to buy these packs. Hopefully you get something decent in there. I've packed the centre-back for Aston Villa. Is it Carlos? Diego Carlos. Packed him twice, 95 rated footies. He's still not played. I've done I did the left back, Roberto Carlos, cover star, done him. So he's in the team. A bit like yourself, I'm just hoping, I mean, I've enjoyed grinding the menu. I'll be honest, I've enjoyed grinding the menu. My concern is I think that the grind has ground us down, is the honest answer for that one.
Yeah, and look, just to touch on the whole footage content and looking from afar, I think especially in the last week or so, I think the grind that they've created as someone that loves doing things like bronze pack method, the idea of, and people are doing that, going to Ronaldinho, doing these 33 squads and going from scratch. I think it's great that the EA have finally just said, you know what, okay, fine, you can go and do it. Don't get me wrong, they're still hooking people in and making people, pay for every squad in terms of their time. But look, everything is kind of accessible now. It's kind of what we see at this time of year. I mean, we are 6 to 8 weeks away from a new game, so the shackles are kind of off. Do I still think EA are going to try to make people open packs and spend FIFA points? Absolutely. But as I've said a million times on this show, on my stream and everywhere, they are a business. It's what they're there for. But I think it's nice that you don't have to do that. You can decide to invest time rather than money if you want to do it. So things like the footy players being in packs didn't massively bother me either. I could see why people were annoyed. I think it is another slight push towards, okay, go and spend some FIFA points. You never know what you might get. But again, I think there are so many good players out there that it's not been essential. I don't think you're at a disadvantage. And certainly looking at the pack weights as well, I think even the people that are spending money on packs, it's not like we're getting Ronaldo's and Messi's left, right, and centre. But as per what you just said, Chris, I think the grind has ground me down. I think I joined this foot community in FIFA 20. My friends suggested it to me in lockdown, and I have not looked back since. I've only gone deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole. Hosting this show, I started streaming at the start of around Christmas time as well. So I'm absolutely knee deep in the world of foot, and it kind of happened to me by surprise. As I said, I went away on a lad's holiday for a few days. So I was like, well, I can't play that. And I just got back and I was like, I don't have the itch. Like I'd been running, and this goes to the whole burnout and the grind thing. I'd been running 2 accounts. I'd run my main account and my RTG. I mean, both are RTGs because I don't buy FIFA points, but I started from scratch, the second one just before team of the season. Really enjoyed playing it. And I just spoke to you before we came online. Just before I went away, I had managed to get a 14-win weekend league in 3 hours on the second account. And at that point, I said to myself, well, I can only compare it to a bit like Football Manager, where you eventually build up your team and you start winning the Champions League every year. Mm-hmm. And you get to that point and you go, okay, it's nice. But then you start to think, shall I go off and do something else? And I just got to that point with FIFA. I thought the way I'd built my teams, I'd been grinding so hard all year, bronze pack method, trading, obviously the trading show I was doing with Shack Attack. I'd had access to just about every player I want. Okay, the massive godly players, the R9s of the world, I didn't get those, but I had enough pack luck to be able to play with a really good team all year. Getting to 14 wins, and I got 14 wins more often than not after team of the season. And that had always been my kind of my ceiling. I'd been bumping up against 11 for a long time and finally managed to get over. The great tips from all the guys at footcoaching.com, from you guys, from people watching me on streams and pointing things out, just lifted me that little bit higher. And Chris, I just got to that point where I just thought, it's not going to get any better than this. I have no desire to crack on and be a 16-win player. So for me, the motivation just went. But I mean, what was it for you? Was there has there been a particular point where you just thought, I'm going to go off and do something else?
It's just 2 things. Firstly, it was myself getting a bit too excitable at Weekend League and having so many rows from my wife to say, stop kicking things and stop shouting. And also the fact when the Weekend League went from the sort of extended one that we had in Tots.
Yes.
And then they moved it back to, finishing up for me, it'd be a Sunday night here in the UK. It just took that wee bit extra, I had that extra pressure on, sorry. I'm fairly lucky and I've got older kids and, I feel sorry for guys like yourself who've got younger kids and they've got pressures as well, time pressures. I have very little time pressure at the weekend, I'll be honest with you, but even that for me was just too much. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, trying to fit 20 games in. Those extra couple of days that we had was brilliant. It took the pressure off. You could play a decent level of games. You could get in your rivals. You could get your cups in as well. And to be fair to EA, there's been a lot of content for that. But it just was the grind. It was the grind of that weekend league, shortening it. My brother still plays weekend league and he got 11 wins in a couple of hours the other weekend. I just looked at the messages that he sent and he packed 86 Bruno Fernandes, 87 Lloris, gold rares, and his team of the season card he got was Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes. I mean, that's he's saying, what am I playing 11 wins for? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's there is an element of what am I playing here for? Because the rewards I've got, his team's stacked. He's done Ronaldinho now. He's got a decent team. the rewards you're getting just don't seem to stack up to anything no worth doing now. And that maybe just is the fact that the power curve has just got so much higher that it's impossible for EA to keep up. But for me, I think the biggie was, and I think it's been a lot in the community, I can feel it in the community as well, is when they shortened the weekend league for really no reason that I can see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was all to do with promo teams and things like that. And the team of the season, it has always kind of been an anomaly. But yeah, it did feel that little bit stingy. And I think that also played into my thinking as well. I was suddenly like, oh, Friday, Saturday. And again, that's when I went away. I went away over a long weekend, so I didn't play weekend league that weekend. So again, maybe that plays into it. But look, I mean, we here at Foot Review, we're very positive, and I think what it's worth saying at this juncture is, we've just spent a good sort of 5-6 minutes saying, well, we're not playing the game. I think there is still a lot of reasons to play the game. There are still cups going on. I said EA are putting some great players behind objectives. You've still got things like Weekend League. You've still got rivals. You've got these big, great cards to go for, these cover star icons, your Dinos of this world, your Roberto Carloses. And, fun cards are coming out every night. I saw they just released a Chicharito premium footy as well. So there's lots of great reasons to play, and I don't want any of this to come across. If you are still, if you're listening, you're probably still interested in foot, and you more than likely are still playing. That's absolutely fantastic. I think whether you have been even more hardcore than me and Chris, or not as hardcore, whatever your reason, because this time last year I was still playing happily. Chris, I know this time last year you were still playing happily. I was the same in FIFA 21 as well, and FIFA 20. So it's not just the time of year that I'm not always I'm just going to, that stereotype, why are you playing FIFA in July? What are you playing FIFA in August for? It's nothing to do with that. It's just reaching a point in a game cycle. And it might have been, again, like you said, Chris, that we've just gone too hard. And it's the first time I've ever had 2 accounts. And I think if you counted up the entire number of games I've played, I've got to imagine it's getting close to 1,500 games this year. Yeah. And I think I've got amazing value out of the money I've paid for this game to play 1,500 games. It just comes down to a point of doing the same thing over and over and over again. For me, the light bulb just switched. I just like, do you know what? Right now, I don't want to do it. And I had other priorities. I'm trying to lose a bit of weight. It's my daughter's on school holidays. So it just all seems a natural part for me to go, you know what? I don't want to play. But this kind of leads on to my next thing, Chris, is that we sit here talking about, playing and we've been burnt out. What is it, do you think, about FIFA that stops you going on to just play a couple of games? Because it's weird to me that I've gone completely full turkey and not just popping on. Do you think that there is something about Ultimate Team that kind of means you're either all in or all out?
I think you're all in or you're all out, to be honest with you, because you can play rivals. Actually, my favourite mode is rivals at the moment. That's the bit that if I was going to go back and play, I'd go and play rivals. I say weekend league, it's more me than anything else is the problem than the actual game. But as I say, there's a couple of days as well. I think I've missed the fact as well as that, we always talk about it, the Mendy Festival of Football card. This is the ideal time. They had Level Up, but Level Up was a disaster promo. It was probably the worst promo that we've seen this season. The fact that there should have been stages to everything. It seems so hard to get those cards as well. You've seen the price of them. What De Bruyne was 15 million when he first came out. People were buying that. That card was useless at the end of the day. They could have added those cards to co-op. I know they probably didn't want that, but it would have been an ideal thing to do. Do co-op. Have 3 or 4 versions of the De Bruyne card that you could build up for those guys who really want to go hardcore at the game. And that's why I know you love him, and I love him, as that Mendy left-back card. The lockdown card that, he just was absolutely stunning. The design was stunning. It just screamed of summer. Footies we've seen before. So for me, I think they could have done a lot more in the summer to grab us and drag us in. And that's one thing I love about the Diablo game. I've not got a clue really what I'm doing half the time, but you can upgrade your character fairly easily, and that is something I think that we could have done with this in the summer. Level Up could have been absolutely great, the greatest promo they've put in, but they've done it in such a poor way that unfortunately I think that for me was like, right, I'm out.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's look to see whether this is kind of just an us thing or a global thing. So we were talking about numbers. Now, of course, we don't really have any sort of records for games played on the PS5 and the Xbox, which are by far the 2 dominant formats. However, there are Steam charts, and they sort of log the number of players per day, and they round it off into an average. Now, the game peaked in January, where they had an average of 59,000 players playing. Of course, that's around Team of the Year. It then dipped down a bit. It then grew up a bit to about, I think it was about 45 to 50,000 around April when Team of the Season is out. And now it's just been on a steady dip down. And I think in the last 30 days, the average is around 40K. So it's dropped off around 1/3 from the peak. And of course, again, this is only one format. We don't know what PS and Xbox are doing. It's obviously went on to things like Game Pass as well through EA Play. So that might have swelled numbers a bit as well, Chris. But actually, when I looked at those numbers, I thought there would probably have been a bigger drop off. Yeah. So for a game to actually retain 2/3 of its player base, even when we're talking 9-10 months into a cycle, does that not actually suggest that EA are actually doing a pretty good job?
I think they've done a good job this year. I think we're trying not to be negative here. You and I have stopped playing, but we have to be fair. I think the promos have pretty much been decent. I think the one that, as I say, it appeared everybody was the level up. When you look at those numbers as well, even in January, they're no far off. Sorry, in the March number, which is the lowest one we've got in the whole kind of game cycle before that. Now, they've been pretty steady. I think EA as well have probably suffered the fact as the World Cup was in the winter time.
Yeah.
We've not had a Euros or a World Cup. So this is maybe a season where it's not happened for us. If it had been a World Cup mode like the one we had in the winter time there, I think that a lot of people would have stayed on for that. And I think you might have seen a slightly more juiced number of cards, because at that point, EA can go crazy because it is the end of the game cycle and, the World Cup's on and we'd all been football mad. I think, United's team didn't have a particularly good end to the season as well, so that might be one of the reasons why we don't want to play football. And as you said, I think before we came on as well, real football started, so that might see us move back to the game. No, I think it's just, you've got to be careful in the fact is that you project what you feel onto everybody else, and there's a lot of folk still playing in the Discord. The number of Ronaldinhos that we see is great, but again, even the Ronaldinho one at 33 SBCs, I've got all these cards and dupes, and I looked at it, I went into the Ronaldinho, I just looked at it at 33 and I just turned it off again and did Eusebio. Yeah. I think they could have easily made that a lot less. I mean, why make people grind 33 at this time? EA maybe needs to look at, maybe they don't, maybe we're wrong, but I think EA in next summer when they drop the FIFA name, they need to look at something and say, how are we going to keep the player base going in the summer? Maybe something like the Festival of Football is an ideal time to bring that promo back.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to hop back in as well when you do even just take a few weeks off. It's difficult to then hop back in because I look at my squad now; it's got like no footy players in it, and that kind of puts me off. And again, maybe that's just my own makeup. I'm quite competitive. Like now, I have hit this certain level. I'm almost kind of a bit nervous to go back in case I'm not playing at that level. And again, maybe that's just something for me that I need to go. Actually, just take it easy. It's just a game, If you go in, but then FIFA is all about, and I mean, we'll drill into some of the things we do and don't like about the game, but the very fact that all FIFA is really winning and losing. Yes. There's no fun escapism modes. It's not like, you go and play a shooter game, there's different game modes, there's capture the flag, there's all this. And I know that, of course, there is a mystery ball, there is, but nobody plays it. Nobody plays it. And the NEA have given you zero incentive to play it. It's not like there's even like milestones out there of like, play 100 games in mystery ball or something like that. There is no reason to play it. So there's just, I don't get that feeling of I just want to go and play a couple of casual games of FIFA because it is sweaty. And just things like maybe at this time of the year, if they introduce like a quick game mode, things like 4-minute halves, things, the quick mode cup. Just some, in fact, did they not have something like that in FIFA 22 where they had short? Am I imagining that?
No, they had Golden Goal. They had Golden Goal Cup. Remember that one? That was a good one. I mean, I was going to ask you, and you are a great co-op player. You play with your mate, and do you think that sort of mode being more at the forefront in the summer might have made a difference?
I think so. I think EA, and it's something that I've been talking about on this show for a long time. EA needs to really incentivize reasons to play with your mates. Not that you should need to incentivize to play with your mates, but it's always nice if there's a tournament or something you can go and play. Just playing games of rivals, it's fun, and it's always In fact, the last games of FIFA I did play were co-op with my friend Steve, and I had a really nice time. We were both at his house And you can do that whole add a guest thing. So I was doing that, and we had a good laugh. Your high fives, taking the mick out of each other when you miss a chance. So that was really good. And again, if they had more of that in, maybe it kind of brings more people in and keeps more people in. But we'll see what they do for EAFC. But going into the kind of whole, is the interest waning across the board? I mean, I went and had a look back at the FIFA 22 Steam charts, and it's a similar pattern. So it's nothing necessarily that they've introduced in FIFA 23 that's driving people away. There has been a drop-off. If you look at the transfer market, it's a good indicator of where interest is. I think there's around about 9 million transfers on average at the moment. At the peak, around sort of team of the season and team of the year, it's around 11, 12 million. So again, I think you're looking at roughly around about a quarter to a third of the player base, a very crude estimate, has dropped off. And there's lots of comments, isn't there, Chris, from people that they're playing and they're finding games harder because those casuals have dropped off. It's only leaving players. And the other thing to say as well, we're at a stage, Chris, where everybody has this game figured out now. Everybody knows what the meta skill, and EA have given up on changing anything because it's all systems for EAFC. So there's we haven't seen the thing like, when they suddenly made lengthy great, and when they suddenly then made it not as effective. So the game is set in stone. It's the same goals, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the patterns of play. It's all that changes are the names. And that's another reason why I think I kind of not gone back to it, because it's like, I know how to score goals and how to defend goals, but it's not that there's less satisfaction from that now.
Yeah, I think so. I think there is. I think the goalkeepers as well. When I think back to the things that they've kind of done with they moved the goalkeepers into strikers. I think if people got a bit fed up with that as well. Peter Cech was extremely overpowered, and it felt just a little bit bizarre. To be honest with you, that just I think is where it is. As you say, we've learned the game. I think we can't complain. I certainly can't complain for what I've invested in the game, for the number of the entertainment that I've got. I play most nights. I love being in the Discord. The Discord's still really active as well. As I say, there's guys grinding there. And that's the thing is, I think, there's a few things that certainly they could do to tweak it. And in the summers, maybe make it a little bit more fun and take the grind out of it. Quicker games, as you say, maybe some, here's me complaining about goalkeepers, but, maybe some strange game modes we could have as well. You score a goal, you lose a player, maybe that kind of thing. But, how do you make if you look at it as well as they've brought the monthly champs objective in, and the players are decent, but if they actually stuck an absolute banger right at the end, would it really have made that huge difference to the game? Could you have stuck a Neymar in there or a 99 Benzema? I don't think that would have killed too much of the game, and that would have given people a reason to grind as well. I mean, I think we talk about it. If you play the game for rewards, you're going to be disappointed, but we do. Let's be honest, we all play the games for the rewards. Want to go weekend league, you want that great red pick that's going to make a difference to your team. So, yeah, I think there's certainly things that we could look at changing. I think co-op could be one of them. All right, we've not a great summer here, but, playing with your mates, having a laugh and a joke, and so you might score some different goals then.
Yeah.
The cutback goal might be something you can change because you start a partner play, it's slightly different as well.
I think, there's a couple of other reasons why maybe people are drifting away or not. And John, head of footcoaching.com, brought this one up, is that there's a lot more competition at this time this year than there has been in previous years. I mean, Chris, you mentioned Diablo. There's been lots of top tier releases out this summer that we've not seen. Games like Zelda, which are, just sweep, take things by storm, that we haven't had in previous years. But, you say you went to Diablo. Was it Diablo that dragged you away from FIFA, or did FIFA drive you away from FIFA and into Diablo?
It was the guys in the Discord. It was John. Coach John dragged me in because he started talking about it. I've never played it before, so we decided we would all, create. I think it's a clan. It's called. So we created a foot and review clan. So I started playing that. I was still playing FIFA at the time, but actually Diablo was just that little bit more fun. As I say, it was no grind involved in it. But if you gave me a choice though to choose between one game or the other, I will always choose FIFA. Because I enjoy, and I love football, and I want to play football. That's the game I'd rather play. As I say, it's just the grind that's kind of caught me out a little bit recently.
Do you think, a lot of people will write on Reddit or on message boards, I'm just sick of EA, money grabbing EA, bad servers, bad game, I'm done, I'm not coming back. Is there anything this year in particular that has maybe made you finish early from an EA point of view? Do you think perhaps it's, all of these mistakes we've seen all year and all of the cock-ups and all of the compensation and everything like that. Do you think maybe there is an element of that that's driven you away?
I think it's an element of they don't care about us, so why should we care about them? The guys at Blizzard who make the game Diablo, they had a DDoS, I think it's called. Excuse me if I got the name wrong. And you couldn't get logged on. Straight away, there's a message. Scheduled maintenance is here. Message comes up. Really sorry, guys, we're doing this. We're going to update this patch notes. Now, when they first brought the game out, I thought the game was fine. They've brought a patch out. People hate the patch, but they've reacted to it. They're making it better straight away. So I think EA are kind of reaping what they've sowed this year, because they have kind of treated customers known a great light. Had the hero. Go back to the start. You had the hero pack that was up for 20 minutes. That absolutely just at the start of that game destroyed a lot of people's teams, because guys like me got Lucio, suddenly got 500,000 coins easy for doing nothing. That put me ahead of guys like Talking Foot who didn't even get a chance to do it. Why not just leave that pack up? You know what I mean? What was a big deal? You made a mistake. You've had, as I say, the promo that just came out, the level up one, that killed a lot of the steam that people had. Shapeshifters was, for me, was quite a decent promo. I had a lot. I was going to use a Shapeshifters of cards. And then you get the level up and you look at it, you think, right, okay, Kevin De Bruyne have 15 million coins. But actually, when you invest 15 million coins and play the game, that card's worth half its value if you're lucky. Do you know what I mean? And people were managing to do it with co-op. They managed to fix that. And then you had last week, you had Team 3, I think it was, or Team 2 footies, was in a day early. People were packing 99 Neymar. I got Diego Carlos a day earlier. You couldn't use them, but actually people were packing them. So these mistakes have happened constantly all year, and again, I think EA have treated the customers in a very great way.
Yeah, I do think that as my time within this community and on this game has increased, I do feel more and more negative towards EA. I mean, I will give them credit when it's due, and as I said, I've paid whatever money I paid for the Ultimate Edition, and I've got, I think my game time is something like 35 days. So work that out into hours, 700 plus hours of entertainment. So I cannot fault them. They've made a good game. I don't. Is it a perfect game? Absolutely not. Are there things I don't like about it? Absolutely. But overall, it's been an enjoyable experience. But you do start to resent all these mistakes. And like you said, Chris, it very much comes across as EA don't really care about you. Because, as we've been saying throughout the year on this show, they've got the monopoly. They are making more money than ever before. So the thing is, there's that lack of personal touch to it. Like you said, there's a problem with Diablo. They come out straight away and tell you what's that. We ask questions all the time here on this show. Why has this changed? Maybe they could do that. And we never get answers. They've never even addressed why they changed things like the League SBCs. Why did they change it? It was never in a pitch notes. They do all these things around a brand new release of a game. They've never had the guts to come out and say, it wasn't working for us, or we didn't think it was fair, or I don't care what reasoning they come up with. We know what the reason is. We're smart enough to know that it's to drive people towards the stuff that makes EA money, or it drives them to play the game or increase whatever metrics they need for sponsors or what it is. But there is that undercurrent of EA are the bad guys and they don't do enough to give you that extra sense of loyalty to say that you'll back them. Like, I compare how I feel about EA and then I think, how do I feel about Cygames, who produce FM? And I love Cygames. I follow some of their devs and stuff, and they are frequently coming out and talking about the future of the game, apologizing for things that they can't do, road mapping. They're not perfect. No game developer is. But EA have got extra contempt for, whether it's fear or contempt, this user base is not treated in the same way of any other game is. And, without sounding like a broken record, the sooner we get competition, Chris, the better it's going to be. But we are so far away from that right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I look at it, tomorrow we've got the FIFA 24, I think the Ultimate Team deep dives released. If they don't fix, and you're talking to someone who's actually bought the 24 already, so I'm too late. I'm already in. I don't think you can cancel it. So, but if they don't fix when you're drawn and your player quits and you don't get the win, or you lose a loan card if you're using a loan card or whatever, even contracts for some players. It might sound petty, but if they don't fix that, then they clearly don't care. Because if you look at the replies on Twitter for this deep dive that's coming out tomorrow, almost everyone, give or take, folk want 3 minutes in the squad battles. Okay, fair enough. Everyone is asking for when the opponent quits, you get the win because you're doing nothing wrong. They forfeit the game.
Yeah.
I don't think any game, if Reading was to walk off the pitch because they're in the half, the opponent would get the win, wouldn't they? They get a 3-0 win. So if they don't fix that, the community's had enough. I think of people quitting on us. We're fed up of it. If they don't fix that, then they clearly don't care.
I agree, and I think people have tried to explain this over the years in fears of exploits and things like that, and reasons why it's not in place. But it's a very basic, easy win to give the community. They're pulling out all the stops for EAFC. You can see it. They've clearly put a lot of stuff in marketing. They've clearly been working with a lot of influencers and streamers and stuff. And look, fair play to them, because at the end of the day, this is the business, and they've got to make their money, their shareholders, and all of this jazz. So I'm not going to have a go at them for being a business, but they're only going to start doing things for us when they have got less margin for error. Because, like I say, if me or you want to play a football game right now, what are we going to play? We're going to have to go and play FIFA. Mm-hmm. We could play pairs, but not a lot of people have pairs. It's fiddly. It's just not where it needs to be. And all these other games like goals are just in the pipeline. So we're captive. We're captive in terms of where we want to play our FIFA. It's synonymous, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Where we want to play our football games now. And I'm sure EAFC, at least EAFC 24, will be no different. I mean, I've not pre-ordered yet because I looked at the benefits you get for it, for the Ultimate Edition or the Standard Edition. I'm like, that won't make a difference to me. I think that's the thing that I've learned in the last 3 years, is that the ones to watches I always got were rubbish. Mm-hmm. The World Cup hero I got was rubbish. The free Team of the Week 1 player was rubbish. And now I'm just, again, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I'm not going to be, I'm going to be fooled for a fourth time at this point. And my second account that I created showed me again that it just drummed home that fact that actually you don't need all these extra boosts. It's deep down your mechanics and how you play the game. And that's why footcoaching.com is the best place to go to. I know that, and that's not a pre-planned segue. I've got better not through getting better players, but through learning, as I said at the top of this show, through having coaching sessions with footcoaching.com, and also from people who've been watching my games regularly when I was streaming, going, you should be doing this, or perhaps you should try that, or that formation might not suit you. Why don't you do that? So that's how I've got better. It's never been through. And don't get me wrong, having a David Ginola Foot Fantasy helps. Having a Team of the Year Virgil van Dijk helps. They don't dissuade you, but they're not the reason I'm suddenly getting 14. I was getting 14 wins. It was having that sort of next level to my game.
No, 100%. I mean, the guys at Foot Coaching are great. You've just seen, I think Amar's re-signed again for the season, and Art's there and Naif's there as well. And John, we've heard them numerous times on the pod. The guys know their stuff. The level of coaching they give you is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've tried to think it's how long I've been on this pod, but I got coaching right at the very start. It's the exact same mechanics that I use still to this day. You know what I mean? The stuff that John told me I was doing wrong, I try not to do it. I still do it now and again, but I still keep it going. So yeah, they're definitely, for that point of view, if you want to spend on FIFA points, that's up to you. But you cannot tend to go wrong if you go with the guys at Foot Coaching. You'll be so glad that you did it for that point. Don't spend FIFA points. Go and get Foot Coaching, and it will make it so much better, the game. I mean, I think EA, in terms of EA itself, I think it's a big thing coming up for them, because they've lost the FIFA name. I imagine we'll still call it FIFA well into the season for there. There's a lot of interesting things coming, but I think the game, this is ideal time now for them to do some stuff in the game that's a bit radical.
Yeah.
Give people the wins first and foremost. That would be amazing. Do you shorten squad battles? Well, why not? Do you know what I mean? I don't think you're hurting them if you shorten that, especially when you put a lot of objectives in there. Do you bring back monthly objectives for people? This is what we've got with the foot champs. Do you get rid of playoffs? I mean, what is the reason for putting in? There really wasn't a reason for playoffs getting put in. It just was another level for people who are potentially no great at the game for them to lose out. What does it matter if somebody, if they're already in a lower division of rivals, so it already takes some time to get points to qualify. So they're grinding the game as hard as they can to get those points. Why not let them get into weekend league? I mean, let's be honest. You get into weekend league, as you say, the red picks very rarely get in your team. I can't think. I don't know if you had any in your red picks before Tots actually made your team. I don't think I had any, to be honest with you.
No, not that I can think of off the top of my head. I think a couple of years ago I got Mane quite early. But yeah, look, it's the exception that proves the rule. The fact that I'm struggling to think. I think this all comes down to innovation, doesn't it, Chris? And it dials back into the whole why we've stopped at this point, because EA have stopped innovating. There's nothing fresh. There's nothing new to drag us back into it's more of the same. It's just more of the same. And I think EAFC needs to have some different things, needs to be innovating, needs to have new modes. We're seeing things like female players coming into the game, do something interesting with it. Don't just make them just part of the whole ecosystem and give us a whole load of different cards. Try and make something just different. And I mentioned things like Mystery Ball and stuff like that. And we've mentioned things like co-op. Make a special co-op weekend league or something. Make a co-op cup. It's just different things to make you. They just need to give people the choice, because some people just say, well, no, I'm happy playing weekend league and rivals. I like it the way it is. Great. Brilliant for you. And I genuinely mean that. If you're happy, great. But with the amount of revenue that this company takes in, they should be consistently innovating. And what is disappointing about this company is you see things like the events tab, Chris. They just abandoned.
Yeah.
And how much effort would it be to keep going with what they were doing? And again, it just smacks of, I just can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. And if EA have got that attitude, that has seeped into me, because I'm now like, well, why should I bother? I've been scoring goals with a purple Ginola card. Is there going to be too much difference to me going scoring the same goal with a pinkish Ginola card to end the game cycle? I think there is a great grind all the way through to Tots of consistently taking your team to a next level. And now you do get to that summer point of they're all basically the same. Yeah. Like you say, if you looked at that Diego Carlos card 2 months ago, you'd been like, that is amazing. Now you pack it twice and you're just like, I probably won't play him anyway.
No, I think the issue as well, Wimby, is that they start the power curve too high. There's this rush to get 90 rated players. So whatever, Mbappe's 91. Let's say Mbappe's 91. So he's got 9 cards before he hits 99. And we talked about this before, that even if Mbappe has, and who knows where he's going to be playing next season, he could be playing in a juniors game. You know what I mean? Who knows at the moment where it's going with Mbappe? But if Mbappe goes to, say, the Saudi League for a year and tears it up, then he, by right, should get in the team of the week. If he's scoring hat-trick after hat-trick after hat-trick. But the problem is, because he starts at 91, he can only have 9 special cards before he's actually at, why don't you start at 80? Give yourself that additional thing. Or say, do you know what, we're going to go over 100 now. We're going to have 100 plus cards. Because actually, as you say, the 95 Diego Carlos card is no different to team of the season Virgil van Dijk or whoever it is in there that's 95, 96. The Ronaldinho card is 98 rated left wing. You can play centre, to be fair. You can play cam. Brazilian. But actually, if you grind for XP, you're going to have a 98 Vinny Jr. Soon. And you're going to save yourself, whatever, 6 million coins. There is very little difference. I think they could do with pulling it. But if you look at now the new heroes that are coming out, you've got Alex Scott, I think, at the top of my head. She's 90. So they're already hitting 90 rated cards in November. So that could be something that they need to look at. Maybe not next game, but the game after.
Yeah, I think perhaps the pendulum has now swung too much from quality to quantity. And I think footies really shows it. I've been opening these 85 by 10s, 84 by 30s. And there are cards popping up, Chris, from things like Foot Birthday that I've just got no memory of.
Mm-hmm.
And considering how deep I've been in this game, with trading, with doing this show, I'm like, I have no memory of that card coming out. And that's part of the problem. They're releasing so many teams and so many promos. There are so many players that you will never, ever see in a game. Now, there's two things that EA could do. One, which they're not going to do, is go back to having 2-week long promos and having gaps in the middle and making promo players special and last longer. The other is, again, why don't you innovate? Now, if you play World of Warcraft, there are battlegrounds capped at certain levels.
Yeah.
So a 20 to 40, level 20 to 40, or it used to be a 40 to 50 or whatever. Why not bring in a separate Rivals League or a cup competition for players? It can be capped. No players above 85. You know, we like what you used to get with Managerial Masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Have modes like that. So actually, when you open these random footies packs and you're getting, I can't even think of these players like, whatever. They're so unbelievably forgettable. Road to the final, whatever, or road to the group stage player X, who is 85 rated. Have a mode where all of your players must be between 81 and 85 rated. And it might just be a little bit different. It might be something fun. But again, there's no reason. All of these players are just in packs at the moment, and they're just going into Ronaldinho or going into whichever SBC. They're so pointless. And I think it just drums home that whole thing of why was I sweating trying to get these players? Because they're obsolete so damn quickly.
No, I think so. I think as well as, we're talking about innovating, and then you're talking about World of Warcraft. So, again, maybe it's when we get to this period in the summer, after TOTS, does there really need to be so many promos? As I say, I keep coming back to the football festival of football. All right, we're all in lockdown. Most of us were locked away in our houses and that.
Summer heat.
Yeah, something like that we can just actually grind away, and get that Mendy card. I mean, that gold Mendy card probably still do a job at the moment, but that Mendy card or a Neymar card or somebody a reward that people actually want. The problem would be if they do a bronze weekend league or a silver weekend league, or we loved the silver lounge. We used to go there every, have a beer in there in the silver lounge, get the players, but they were obsolete now as well. You would never use them. I mean, half the time they didn't bother going in now. But the rewards have to be almost as good as, or even better than the standard weekend league. So if you're going to go in with a bronze weekend league, you're going to put that in there. Make sure the rewards are just that little bit better and make people have a reason to go, an incentive to go in there.
Yeah, but again, I think it dissuaded me. I think one of and I don't want to get too much into just deconstructing FIFA 23 because we've been talking for nearly 45 minutes, and I want to try and end on a positive note. But one of the big disappointments for me was I loved the whole swaps thing coming out, but the lack of play X games or win X games with a La Liga squad this year. I know we saw it a little bit at TOTS, but the fact we didn't get it till then, again, made so many of these promo players feel obsolete. And I'll go into the next game if I do play it. Well, I think I'm going to play it. What am I talking about? But yeah, I'm not going to hold on to these players anymore because EA, to this point, have shown me that, well, you don't need a full squad of Serie A players because we're not going to put that mode in.
Yeah.
So again, it just kind of takes away from the collecting aspect and I don't know. But look, let's end this on a positive note then, Chris. As we said, lots of reasons to still be playing the game. It's lots of fun cards out there. Stuff is easily grindable. The fact that they're giving these premium cards as well, the ones with a little crown, means that you can play with players like Chicharito finally. It doesn't matter that Messi, if you do get your hands on him, is playing in the MLS now. So, what kind of positive words would you end on?
It's a great game. The thing is, they have cracked it with the gameplay. I think this year, this is probably one of the best games that I've played in the whole FIFA series, and I hope 24 is like that. Yeah, there always is a meta. We can complain as much as we want, but let's be honest, there's a meta in Diablo. If I go away and I find out how to build whatever rogue character I'm using at the moment, I will go and play the meta thing. So we all do it. I think it's a great game. We've got a great community here at Foot and Review. Our Discord is popping. You know, we've got Crete 24 to look forward to. And even if you're not on our Discord, you know, we're always active on our socials. Get in touch with us from that point. But the game itself is a great game. I don't think there's much needs done from EA. Just care about your customers. That's the first thing. If you want some loyalty, care about the customers, because you won't always be the best football game out there. There'll be somebody else wanting this millions and millions or billions of pounds that's available. There'll be somebody out there that will come in. So start building a little bit of loyalty. You've cracked it with the game. Just maybe treat your customers a little bit more fairer.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I think it is time to stop being complacent for EA Sports. I think that they can be complacent right now and get away with it, but they are seeding just in the back of people's minds, like myself, just reasons to not support EA Sports. And I want to. As I said, I love being able to back the. You know, I used to love Blizzard back in the day. I still love Cygames. I used to, you know, Sega. I want to root for them. I want to feel a true part of their community. But right now, that does seem more us and them. And, I really hope that does change going forward. But look, as Chris mentioned, join the Discord, patreon.com/foot in review. We've got new merch coming over at footcoaching.com, and Patreon will be going through some changes as well. Big things are happening. We're going to have a show again some point later this week. We are all deep down, as Chris said, we'd rather be playing FIFA if we could. But also, I'd like to say to people out there, if you're listening to this and maybe you're thinking of like stopping, or you just do it. Don't be afraid to take a step back. You're not going to get terrible if you take a break for a couple of months. You might be a bit rusty when you do pop back on, but please go out and try those other games, or try and play FIFA in a different way, or just keep doing what you're doing and enjoy it. Do what is going to lead you to the most enjoyment. Don't worry about the hang-ups around it. I said I've stepped away. I still love to see everybody making great pack pulls. I still love seeing little gameplay clips pop on my Twitter of Nick doing a rat to glory, or someone posting on our Discord if they've scored a great goal and things like that. I'm still a massive part of this FIFA community. I will be part of the EAFC community. It's just whether I go as hard or not. And again, it's always good, Chris, I think, to take a step back and go, am I really enjoying this, or was I doing this for perhaps the wrong reasons? And I've had to go away and step back and say, actually, I was possibly developing some unhealthy habits that was impacting other things in my life. And I think that's good. And I think it's always good to just take that step back and go, okay, why exactly am I doing this? What am I hoping to get out of it? So I'll leave people on that spiritualistic note, Chris. But where can people find you for such words of wisdom?
They can find me on our wonderful Discord under Grandpapa Mac. I'm also on Twitter. Or Twitter, or X as it's called nowadays. You'll find me. If you go in any of the foot reviews, I'm always tagged in something there. Old man syndrome, can't remember my handle. It threw me actually called X. I was trying to retweet, but it says repost. I wasn't sure if that was the same thing, but I finally worked it out. Yeah, you'll get us there. But I say you get us on the Discord. We are still really active on there. And likewise, if you've got a question and you're not sure what a Discord is, just ask us. Reach out on the socials and ask us what a Discord is, because I'll be honest with you, before I joined the Discord, I didn't know what a Discord was either.
Yeah. You can, of course, find us on all of the socials at Foot Coaching. Again, patreon.com/foot in review if you want to go the extra mile to support this show. You can find me on social media. I'm at Wimby on Twitter and at Wimby86 as well. When I'm sort of knee deep in FIFA, it's more Wimby86. I have still got my Twitch channel. I'm not streaming at the moment. Again, that's something I'm kind of stepping away from for a little while. But if you do just want to give me a follow anyway, you can go find me at twitch.tv/Wimby86. Big thank you to all of you listening out there. Again, John will return with a show later in this week. We've got plans for guests. Of course, Chris, your greatest FIFA series has been going up on our Patreon. Another reason for people to get involved over there. Chris basically sitting down with various members of our community and having a great sort of reminiscence about some of the great cards and fun cards that people have been having on Ultimate Team over the years as we wave goodbye to FIFA and say hello to EFA. Really needs
so we'll work on that one.
Yeah, we'll work on that one. But look, thank you to everybody out there. Take care of yourselves. Hope everyone's having a great summer. And we will speak to you soon. One thing left for us to do, though, Chris.
Drop it.
We're gonna
Drop
drop
it.
U
T.
U
T.
U
T.
U T
T.
T. In the U. U
T.